So over here, I'm going to start with the female eye, and I like to give myself some little starting points. I'm going to start down here on the tear duct, and you never ever want to start on the inside line closer to the eyeball. If you look very closely at your own eye, they start right about here on the outside of the tear duct. So I make myself a little tiny mark. Right now I went a little too thick because I wanted you to see it, but just very short. The other thing I'm going to start is on the other side here. I am going to make another eyelash, and I'm going to go in like the other direction, going in a downward fashion, going this way. And I'm just going to make it very short. Then I'm going to go up here on the corners of the eyes on the right side here. They almost tend to be like a J. You go down and up and swoop up. On the other side here, they tend to go in the opposite direction. And they're not as long on this side. And then in the middle, they tend to go straight up. You have to really look at your picture because every picture is going to be different. But this is how I start mine. And then what I'll do is I'll fill in with more eyelashes. And I want to be maybe uneven with them. I don't want them to be perfect because if you ever look at eyelashes, they're not in a row like corn crops are, like crops in a field. Eyelashes tend to be all different directions, different lengths. And I'm doing it very lightly in case I need to erase. Some of the times it might not look perfect. Or it may look like unnatural, so I'll tend to erase it. Another thing I'll do is sometimes I'll thicken up the top here because sometimes there's makeup where there's like a shadow, and I'll thicken down here where the eyelash starts. Almost, I'm going to show you right here, almost to the point of going like this. I'll do a few here so you can see a little bit better. I'll darken in down here, and then I'll like kind of fade it up. So it's like dark here, and then I just fade it out. A few little straggles in between there, okay? And those of you that have makeup on, you know, depends on the thickness of the makeup. You can always go even a little darker, like a thicker line up here actually that gets colored in. And then I'm going to continue on to the bottom. Very subtle lines. You don't want to make these very dark and obvious unless in your picture the person's wearing a lot of makeup. And like I said before, these are really short and they're, you know, staggered every which way. They're not always going in a perfect format. Okay, so that's how I do those eyes. For the male eye, I tend to thicken up the lid first, more of like a shadow instead. And then sometimes with the male eye, you don't even see like these little J-shaped eyelashes coming up. Sometimes you'll see like maybe a few. Depends on your picture. Sometimes they'll be coming down like this into the eye, almost. It depends on which direction they're looking in. So you have to really look at your picture. And And then sometimes you'll just have like a little subtle line, like sometimes just coming up off that thicker line that you made. And then even when you get to this side, you sometimes don't even see anything. Like maybe once in a while you'll see a little straggle of a hair coming up. So really, you have to really look at your picture. And then on the bottom, you can see sometimes the eyelashes. Just make sure that it's also, again, just like the other eye I did, it's on this side of the tear duct, not on the inside, but the outside. And just a few little short little lines coming out. And sometimes if I take my blending stump, and smoothing that in, it kind of tones it down a little bit so that's not so obvious. Okay. So your main goal is to actually like look at your picture. Like everybody's picture is different, but that's the way I draw my eyelashes.